Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 214 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on June 4th, 2024. How are all you wonderful folks doing? Yeah, hope you're doing well. Hope you're ready for some more silencer data and analysis. That's right, yeah. In conjunction with this episode, PEW Science is publishing a highly requested analytical data set, the SilencerCo Omega 9K, on semi-automatic handgun. That's right, yeah. Yeah, so those of you old heads who have followed this effort for a long time will remember we actually published Omega 9K data on subsonic 300 blackout back in paper 62, I want to say, so 6.62 in the standard. That's on the website. I think that was all the way back in January of 2022. Yeah, so a couple of years later, here we are publishing data and analysis for the silencer on the intended host weapon, a 9mm pistol. Yeah, there's some interesting facts actually about the Omega 9K that you might not know regarding that. And so we'll get into that on today's episode in this introductory discussion. I think that'll be good. Okay, so for this fresh data, as they say. And also, in addition to that, I do have a quick topic with some questions for you guys. We will be putting together a PEW Science 101 episode, and now is your chance to give your opinion on what you think should be included. Yeah, so what I did, I jotted down a quick list. We'll go over that list today, and then I will get your feedback via email. I will make a better list, and then I'll pare it down to a final list, and then we'll make the episode, and it's going to help people far and wide. And that's the plan. Yeah, sound like a plan? Because it is. I think so. So please sit back, relax. Let's talk about suppressing pistols, shall we? I mean, is it practical? Well, no. No, it's not. It's never practical. Now, is it fun? Oh, you bet. You bet it's fun. Yeah. So, and as always, I do appreciate all of you folks being here with us today to listen. I would ask that if you do enjoy this podcast, to please spread the word. Okay, let's help normalize the use of suppressed small arms together. And as always, if you are new to this podcast or you have forgotten, if you want to just skip directly to the topics, you can always do that with the timestamps in every single episode description on every single platform where the podcast is published, including YouTube. That's right. There's always timestamps for you guys. That was your warning, because before we get into today's topics, I want to give you a few words regarding the gracious podcast sponsors that make this show possible. This episode is brought to you by Legion Athletics, because nothing you do, exercise, sports, taking over the world, anything was worth doing without consistency. You have to do it all the time if you want to be good at it. Legion Athletics can help. Whey protein, pre-workout, post-workout. Sometimes people ask me, man, is this like a one-stop shop? Do they have everything you need? I say, they have a lot of stuff, but maybe not everything. Go check out the website. I think you'll be surprised what they do have. It's legionathletics.com. There is a link in the show notes, code word PEW Science, to save 20% off of your first order. Use that code PEW Science. Every time you buy from them, you'll get double loyalty points. So no matter if it's your first order or your 20th order, you're going to end up getting a net 10% off everything going forward using the code, just with the points you get from it. So get strong. It's important. This episode is also brought to you by Top Gun Range Houston. I know that, obviously, since we're in Texas, we understand the Houston area is very large. I know there's a ton of places you can go to shoot. And there's probably a ton of places you've never even been to because the city is so geographically spread out. But if you are near Top Gun Range, or if you're in Houston and you have some time, it's pretty good, man. Go check it out. 15-lane indoor range, largest firearm rental fleet in the whole state of Texas. You can rent firearms, which is awesome. You can rent machine guns. Yeah, everyone knows that's fun too. But there you can rent silencers. And that's really where the rubber meets the road here, because they have a lot of host weapons that we use here at PEW Science to publish data for. They have a lot of the silencers that we also have published data for. So you can literally duplicate the setups and go shoot them at their range. It's wild, dude. Check out the firearm rental fleet at their website at topgunrange.com. And of course, you can find them on Instagram at Top Gun Range. Okay, go check them out. Episode's also brought to you by High End Armament out of Oklahoma. Have you been wondering why you've been saving for your children's future in college and you would rather just, blow all their money on like a nice like SR25? If so, Robert and his crew at High End Armament can help you. They are experts in infrared sighting systems, thermal optics, lasers, things like that, rare guns, machine guns, all kinds of esoteric things. Check them out at highendarms.com, on Instagram at High End Arms, and they even have a Facebook page, which is also, you guessed it, High End Arms. This episode is also brought to you by SilencerShop. Oh, SilencerShop. You can use their kiosk, do your fingerprints and photos electronically, and in turn, you cut down on errors to simplify your silencer purchasing process. You get a money-back guarantee. It's pretty good. You don't pay any transfer fees when you use the SilencerShop system, or you shouldn't be, so please don't pay those. You don't get any paperwork errors. You just have your silencer hanging out on your gun with no drama. Truly is silencer ownership simplified. And, the good folks at SilencerShop, they do support the PEW Science Laboratory, which is important because a lot of the folks there that are selling silencers use the data to inform the customers of how the silencers will perform on their host weapons, which is very important. So know that this information that we are presenting here is all connected. It's all an ecosystem. Okay, we really want to make sure that the consumer is informed, and thank goodness SilencerShop is on the right team. Because could you imagine the evil? No, it's like one of those Marvel movies or something like that. I don't know. I heard those are great. The crux of this whole ad read thing is that this podcast is also brought to you by PEW Science. It's the PEW Science Laboratory. That's right. I'm the technical director of the lab. In the interest of public education, the lab sponsors this podcast and runs a public research effort. We have the primary goal of pushing the silencer industry forward one test at a time. We encourage you to visit pewscience.com for the suppression rating. It's the simplest, most accurate hearing safe rating for your suppressed small arms. It's based on true human inner ear response of the entire gunshot from before combustion takes place all the way until all the combustion is gone. PEW Science is the home of the silencer sound standard. That's right. 7 sections on the website there. The most in-depth and accurate silencer data and analysis in the entire known universe, all available to the public 24/7 at pewscience.com. And please, as always, you can support this effort. You can support the podcast too. You can be like them. No, you can support all the public testing we do for you by joining with the membership at pewscience.com. That would really help. It's what keeps the lights on. There's also a donate feature if you want to throw us a bone. That's cool too. It's like if you don't like recurring things. There's a donate feature on the podcast page, on the review page. Every little bit helps. And as always, something that's free, doesn't cost you anything. Spread the word, man. Give the podcast a good rating. Like it, subscribe on the YouTubes, and all that good stuff. And Spotify, iTunes, and I don't know, Amazon Music, smoke signals. Just let people know that silencers and guns are awesome. That's what we ask, okay? So 2 topics for you today. That's right, topic 1. Sound Signature Review 6153. The SilencerCo Omega 9K on the HK P30L. Oh my goodness gracious, man. Pistol analysis is back. A couple of years have gone by since we looked at the Omega 9K. We're going to revisit this venerable, compact powerhouse of a silencer in this introductory discussion. That's right. This white paper is released concurrently with this episode. So if you're here super early, it's not. But if you're around, around 7 a.m. Central or so, it should be on the website as long as we didn't mess something up. Topic 2, PEW Science 101 by request. Yeah, so for first-time consumers, enthusiasts, really general public, I want to ask all you folks, what main topics would you like to see in a 101 episode, right? I mean, you've asked. So this reference would be used to assist folks with like a crash course, essentially, in the whole thing. So your feedback is welcome, as always, for the preparation and things like this. So I would ask that you do take it seriously, because I don't have time to deal with tomfoolery on that one. Okay. Let's move into topic 1. Time of 9 minutes. 17 seconds. Okay, 1 second. 9 minutes, that's criminal. I'm sorry. We'll do it faster next time. Topic 1, Sound Signature Review 6153. The SilencerCo Omega 9K on the HK P30L. Yeah, semi-automatic 9mm combat handgun, suppressed with a SilencerCo Omega 9K. Okay, we are revisiting pistol analysis. It hasn't been gone for too long, but we need to pick it up a little bit. So a couple years have gone by, actually, since we last looked at this silencer, so I want to revisit it now. And I want to give you an introductory discussion to it. I'm not going to go full technical today, of course. Per tradition, we like to do the intro topic first. Let the data percolate for a week. Let the emotion get out of the way. Let the experiences pour forth. And then we'll talk technical next time. And then everyone can sing Kumbaya without stabbing each other in the face. Yeah, it's been a minute, though. Again, January of 2022 was the last time we looked at this little silencer. And I do mean little. This thing is just not that big, okay? When you have no mount in the Omega 9K, it's like 4.6 inches long or something like that. I measured it earlier. Now, it's a little larger diameter than some other traditional pistol silencers, though, right? A lot of you know that. The silencer's been out for a long time. And that's actually where some of the interesting performance of the silencer comes into play, the dimensions of it. So, and just as an aside, I actually showed this article to SilencerCo today, ahead of time, before the public sees it. And many of you folks who have followed the effort actually from the beginning probably remember that PEW Science actually used to present our member-funded articles to companies before we published them. We used to do that. And the reason we were doing that was, we wanted to show them what we found, get feedback, things like that. We thought it was like a professional courtesy thing. Frankly, I just think it's good practice. I think it's a great thing to do. And, every once in a while, there are companies who still like us to do that. And, they throw us some respect. We throw them some respect. It's mutual, right? That's like how the world works, right? You don't you treat people how you want to be treated, and it works, I think. And SilencerCo is one of those companies. There's some really great folks there. SilencerCo had some good feedback. It was cool. And really, and something that excited me, and I'm going to brag because I'm proud of it. The gist of it is this research characterizes the silencer properly. Okay. And it's always good when the folks who make the thing agree with the high-level conclusions in your research work product that you're presenting to the world. I think that's cool. Okay? We haven't had people email us and disagree about the silencers that we've tested ever, but it's cool when folks tell us an affirmative that they do agree. Is there a difference between not disagreeing and agreeing? I mean, you could say no, but I think there is a difference because I think this is a little bit different. They did confirm that yeah, we got it right. So shout out to SilencerCo on that one, man. Very professional. Very great interacting with their team. And I thought it was cool. And we've done it before with SilencerCo with the products we've tested. That you look back on the Harvester stuff and things like that, and even this silencer from back with the 300 Blackout. You got to keep in mind, this is like, if you're just new to silencers, in fact, and that's actually, I just thought about, if you're new to silencers, you might not even know about this silencer, which is weird because it's been out for a very long time. It's been around a while. I think it's been on the market for almost 10 years, I want to say, because I think they launched it 2015 or so. Okay. So, and that's always great. We love that here at PEW Science for silencers to be out for a long time before we test them. There should be a ton of them out there in user hands. So that is one of the reasons for the test, right? The utility of the data and analysis should be very high. Understand? We don't take member-funded data lightly. Okay, it's your money. All right, why, we going to waste it? No, dude. We're going to use it for stuff to get the most bang for the buck, and this is huge bang for buck. Because there's so many Omega 9K units out in the wild, having the performance testing and analysis data for this specific model in the research pedigree is going to give what? What's it going to give? Contextual power. That's right. Context. It's the most powerful part of PEW Science. Context. I think it's so great. It's so powerful. It's one of the greatest features of the data set. And what allows for true context? The suppression rating. Why? Because no matter what the weapon system or silencer or ammunition, the suppression rating allows you to put all of those data points on the same scale. That's right. And that might be something good to explain to folks who are new to some of this, right? This isn't going to be the 101 episode, like I mentioned, but sometimes I think people forget. I'm going to remind you because it's this. What better time than now to remind you about this? Because the Omega 9K, you've never seen this before. You've never seen the pistol data for it. So now you get to have it. And those of you really tuned into this really understand what the suppression rating is, are like chomping at the bit, because you're going to be like, oh my God, now we have some peg points on the dang pistol chart. So let me explain. So for example, if you were to just look at the peak sound pressure from a suppressed gunshot on one weapon system, or the peak impulse, or even the average, and then do the exact same thing with another suppressed gunshot from a different weapon system, you can look at those two sets of numbers. Yes, you can. And you can compare them, as in like look at both of them and look to the left, look to the right. You can compare them. Sure, you can look at those peak impulse, peak pressures in the averages. You can do that. And then you can try to convince yourself that you are comparing two different tests and two different systems and those results mean something. You can try to convince yourself of that. You can. The reality is that the numbers do, in fact, mean something, but they don't mean what you think. And the reason they don't mean what you think is because they aren't really characterizing what you hear in totality, are they? No. They are only characterizing parts of the signature, not the whole thing. They're just not. Okay, so without going into high-level physics and math, the reason why you can't take two peak sound pressure or impulse values from two separate systems and compare them and use that comparison for useful loudness information is because the signatures from two separate systems are almost always completely different in characteristic. In the analysis of fast-moving waveforms, we call this having different dynamics. The dynamics of the systems are different, so the maps you use to navigate the severity from each system are different too. Okay, so the maps that PEW Science uses in the Silencer Sound standard are in PI space. And unfortunately, as explained in the Silencer Sound standard, you hop PI space when you change system dynamics. Okay, that's due to physical laws, and there's no way around it. So, and I use that for PEW Science internally, PEW Science uses a proprietary algorithm to hop PI space. Okay, think of it as a decoder ring for blast load waveform input that gives you a linear severity scale output. Okay, standardized measured blast load waveforms go in, and standardized universal severity metrics come out. It's an input-output scheme. So, what is the point? And what is the input? What is the input? What are we inputting into this decoder ring? Standard, raw, mil standard test data collected properly. That's right. The simplest of simple. If you really want to boil it down, the simplest of simple. That's the input. Okay. What's the output? The suppression rating. Okay. So do you understand? Yes. So we can compare everything on the same playing field. So that's why the Omega 9K test report we are published today is so dang cool. Now you have Omega 9K suppression rating analysis for 9mm pistol. You did not have that before. Okay, so when this silencer was first released in 2015 or 2016, whenever it was, all we had was some peak sound pressure data, right? And I think when some folks saw that data and compared it to some other silencers, they maybe thought there wasn't much of a difference, And there's a few reasons for that. Nobody has a good handle on how one peak, like a fleeting moment in time, compares to another fleeting moment in time for a complex signature, right? We just talked about it. Yeah, that's why we have to use the whole signature. Now, again, if you only want to look at the peak, that is only going to work if the waves are of exactly the same shape, like, for example, unsuppressed gunshots, right? You can't compare suppressed gunshots the same way you compare unsuppressed gunshots. You know that. Yes, you better know that, because that's the whole purpose of all this. Like, one is super complex with different components. The other is a classical blast load. Okay, that's why I think that's probably why a lot of people in the firearms industry got so confused when they started to measure silencer sound, because they thought, well, we measure the unsuppressed guns this way and we report a metric that tells us about loudness. Why can't we do the same thing with the silencers? Well, it wasn't their field, so they didn't understand what they were doing, and now they do, because we're showing you how. Okay, just so happens it's really hard. Okay, and that's why we have to protect the way we do it. Okay, so I'm excited for people to see how the silencer stacks up. It's really small. It's really small, and that's crazy, but it is punching up. It is punching up, and I think it's punching up in a big way, in my opinion. Now, is it super advanced? Well, no, not at all, dude. But the design concept used here, it was more volume in a shorter envelope, more durability. Was it ahead of its time? I was like, I don't think it's ahead of its time. I think it was right for the time. I think it's a product of a decade ago of the knowledge of making silencers, in a way. I think it's a great look into the past, and I think it's cool to characterize it. That's what I think. I mean, some folks might think at first glance that having volume like this would maybe result in some kind of like a deep tone or like frequency shift. They would be wrong in this case. So you see the silencer is high volume, but not in totality. Remember, it's still short, and that initial expansion volume is pretty high, but the silencer doesn't have any special venting at all. That's something you might not know. If you have one, because you've looked inside probably, but if you don't have one, you've never looked inside, you might not know that. It actually has relatively conventional curved cone baffles in it. Yeah. But the baffles are very efficient. It is very efficiently made. It's a tubeless silencer, fully welded. Stellite. Yeah. I don't know if you know that it has Stellite blast baffle. So what do you get with this thing? You get an actual balanced design with conventional technology. No fancy gas pads, no complicated mounts, no special baffles, no frills, fully welded stack, Stellite blast baffle, and it runs, dude. It runs. It does. Now, are there consequences to this reality of its design and performance? Sure. There are always consequences. Now keep in mind, again, this thing's almost 10 years old. It hangs, but yeah, it's a decade old, dude. So what are some pitfalls to a design like this based on what we know now through all the research? Okay, that's the question I would pose to you. And I'm just giving, again, this is just an intro topic, but I want to go a little bit deeper here, because I want you guys to start thinking about this as you read and look and understand. So in this particular design, they have more volume up front to help initial expansion. Okay, great. That's good. As we expand superheated gas, we cool it, yes? Okay. That is the recipe for suppression. That's like suppression 101. Now, very good. Now, how are we doing it in a silencer like this? What is the mechanism? Well, you're expanding into a chamber with only one major orifice. Yeah. And there isn't a lot to stop reflections from continuing to build upon each other, is there? There's not. So what happens when shocks keep reflecting and you keep feeding energy into a system? The internal impulse accumulates and it starts to run away. That's right. It starts to build and run away. What happens when that happens near the barrel muzzle in early time? It starts to propagate back down the barrel in early time. Remember? Yeah, that's how it works. So what does it look like? What does that look like physically in pressure space? It looks like shock waves that are traveling as fast as they can. And how fast can a shock wave travel in pre-compressed superheated gas? Back down the barrel. How fast can a shock wave travel? Well, there are some rules of thumb, but multiple Mach numbers. Like you're going faster than you really think about in a normal atmosphere. So what is the result with the Omega 9K? Even though it's a short silencer and it can vent its baffle stack a little faster than a big, long, full-side pistol silencer, what's the result of the way it's designed? Well, you might get a little more blowback. You might get a little more slide velocity. Your gun might operate a little harder than some other designs, even though this shorter silencer. It's the way it's designed. Okay, there's nothing fancy in here. Remember, this is a 10-year-old unit. Okay, so you look at this. And I don't want to color your opinion before you read the article. So, I mean, you ask, well, is it terrible? It's like, well, no, it's not terrible, dude. No, of course not. In fact, it's still a short silencer. So eventually, the additive impulse does taper off. Now, what if they would have made the same design in a longer model? Well, it probably wouldn't have been as balanced in performance, in my opinion, just due to the simplicity. Okay. Now, would it have worked? Well, yes, probably. But I bet the shooter wouldn't enjoy it as much as they would enjoy this one. And, what I see from this design, and I could, of course, be wrong, but what I see from this design is an optimization of the baffle technology popular at the time the silencer was released. I mean, on the call today when I spoke with them, they pretty much, in so many words, said that. I mean, I feel, and this is my opinion, I feel like at the time, this was a highly optimized system for suppression performance, for weight, for length, for durability. And I think that when you go look at the data and analysis in the article today, when you pull that up, I think you're gonna see that the Omega 9K lands in a performance zone that's pretty respectable for modern times. That's the way I would couch that. That's the way I would couch that. Now, are you breaking records at the muzzle? Well, no, dude. Absolutely not. Are you breaking records at the ear? Also, no. Absolutely not. But can you take this silencer and put it on a 300 blackout machine gun, change the mount, put it on your 9mm pistol with a red dot, have a system that's not too long? Maybe you have some expedient little couch pops you need to do and machine gun use too? Yeah, absolutely you can do something like that. Put it on MP5, full auto, all day long. Yeah, you can do something like that. 300 blackout supersonic machine gun? Absolutely, you can do that with this. Absolutely can. Yeah, that's an intermediate rifle cartridge, son. Yes. Also, could you clean it with an ultrasonic cleaner when it gets pretty dirty? Maybe use some CLR. Absolutely, you can do that too. It's a little utility silencer, man. The back pressure's a little higher than some, but it's stout, here for the long haul, decade old basically. But that's the Omega 9K. That's it. That's that silencer. I have it in my hands right now. It's tiny, dude, small. And even if a lot of the physics here are not interesting to you, what I want you guys to take away from this is the contextual performance classification. Okay, look, the suppression rating metrics are universal. When you can look at this and see that in the free field, the shooter should have less hazard shooting this than shooting LaMod 9, you should know that's a huge peg point. I don't know that a lot of people realize that, okay? Now, there are indeed a lot of people who own the Omega 9K, and I think now those people will be able to use the suppression rating chart in this report to a higher degree of utility for themselves, right? It's not just this report that they get. They get this, yeah. What if all you have is a Omega 9K on a 9mm pistol? That's what you've shot. That's on your only silencer. Oh, now you have suppression rating data. Now what? Now you have context for the whole data set, up or down. Yeah. So if you own a silencer, excuse me one second. If you own a silencer that's in our research pedigree at pewscience.com, and you also own a weapon that it's tested on, and you know how it sounds, you are well on your way to understanding how other systems behave in the real world. And real world performance is what the suppression rating is all about. Full stop. Okay, that's what it's for, dude. So, I mean, and to be clear, let's all have a come to Jesus here. None of this would matter if it wasn't real world. Okay, and that's what I'm telling you right now. This is as real as it gets, dude. This is as real as it gets. It's the best we can do without giving you the suppressed weapon system to shoot yourself. This is the best you can do. I'm telling you, we thought about it for a minute before we did it. Okay, yeah. Now, okay, when you look at this article, you're going to notice some similarities to some of the other pistol silencer articles. Why? Well, the fact of the matter is the performance balance just happens to be similar to some other ones. Now, some things for you to note, especially for PEW Science members, is some signature nuance. There's going to be some nerd stuff, dude. This is PEW Science, okay, so you're not going to get out scot-free without having to learn something. Everything I just told you about the Omega 9K behavior is actually displayed in the measured waveforms that are presented in the article, okay? You'll see the early time shocks from muzzle blast because the thing is short, but you'll see them be consistent because of the high efficiency design. You'll see the blowdown be a little faster, but you won't see it be super fast because of the amount of expansion volume. You'll see the FRP, but you'll see that it isn't as severe. You'll see some hints that the weapon is cycling a little bit hard, mainly in the piston system shock. You'll see, quite frankly, that overall the shooter's ear performance of the system isn't as low as you would think it would be for such a small system. Okay. And overall, really, I think those that are really familiar with it are going to see this and say, yep, that's what I notice. Yeah. So yeah, guys, I'm happy to take this quick detour into 9mm pistol land. Happy to finally get this out to you folks. Was also happy to show this to SilencerCo today as well. I had told one of my contacts there, we were working on it. They asked to see it. And I think they found it to be informative. It's cool, man. I would like to say I am, again, honored when manufacturers take the time to review our analysis with us. I get a kick out of that. I know they do. It's cool. It's cool to talk about things with people. Good times. Yeah. Thanks, SilencerCo. Yeah, so go check out the article, okay? I had a pen somewhere. All right, let's move into topic 2. At a time of, where's my thing? 33 minutes and 11 seconds. Okay. Very good. This is excellent time. And very timely because I have a lot of stuff to do. Topic 2. PEW Science 101. Oh, yeah, this is great. By request. Again, we're doing this by request. I'm asking this. This is going to be for first-time consumers, enthusiasts, general public, and like everyone that might not understand how PEW Science works or silencers work. What main topics would you love to see in a PEW Science 101 episode? Okay, so this would be like a PEW Science crash course. Now, I want to get your feedback. So, a little background for you. We've received a couple of inquiries from people for a lot of different things. They've asked for a lot. They've asked for everything from a glossary to a PEW Science for Dummies article or a PEW Science for Dummies podcast episode. They've asked for an intro episode. I think it's time to do something like that. I think I've gotten enough feedback to where I hear you. I think, honestly, when we first started out with the podcast, it was easier to catch up for new folks. Now there's hundreds of episodes. I don't know that anyone thought I could keep this going. Doing this podcast every week, but apparently I can. I didn't think I don't know if I could. Turns out, just crazy enough to do it. So yeah, it can be overwhelming is my point. There's like, what this episode 214, whatever we're on now? Dude, that's ridiculous. It can be overwhelming. What, you're going to listen to 214 podcast episodes? I mean, you should, but you might not be able to do it in a day. So let's be real. Not everyone goes to the website, okay? And not everyone reads the Silencer Sound Standard. If they did, things would certainly flow faster. But hey, again, not everyone likes to read. And I understand that, and that's okay. That is one of the reasons we do the podcast. It can be easier for people to consume, especially when they are busy. Believe me, who doesn't love a nice podcast on a road trip, man? I mean, that's what I do. That's half the dang reason I made this thing. I was like, that's how I would want to get the info. Now, our podcast for everyone? No. Does it help enough people to be worthwhile? Absolutely, no question. Okay, so that being said, now you understand why we're doing it. What topics would you like to see in a PEW Science 101 episode? That is my question to you. And here's my plan. So when we do it, what I'll do, every single topic I'm going to timestamp and list. So it'll be Googleable and searchable and findable and locatable and readable, and it'll be the easiest spoon-fed stuff ever, which is great. Now, I have put together an initial list, and believe me, I did this in probably 45 seconds, less than a minute. I wrote this down off the top of my head about 5 minutes prior to starting this recording. And I counted them. There's 12 things. Let me read them to you. You see if you agree or disagree, and then we can talk more. Okay, so here's my 12 things. They're basically 12 questions. 1, what is PEW Science? 2, what's a silencer? 3, what's a suppressed weapon system? 4, what type of performance metrics should you concern yourself with for such a system? 5, what's a gunshot? 6, what's a suppressed gunshot? 7, how do you measure these things? 8, when you measure them, what can you do with the information to make sense of it? 9, what's the suppression rating? 10, how can you use the suppression rating? 11, how should you not use the suppression rating? 12, if there is not a rating for your system, what can you do? Okay, that's 12 questions. Basic level PEW Science. So those are some things I jotted down. Again, real quick. So please send us an email at tech@pewscience.com. That's TECH at pewscience.com. with your comments about those things and suggestions for more things, okay? Once I get the list all put together, I'll do an episode on it, and I'll pin it to the front of the YouTube channel and on the podcast page, on the website, all that good stuff, dude. I will plaster that thing. I'll pin it to the Instagram accounts. I will, you best believe you will be able to find it. Okay, and it'll be a reference guide, or we'll call it something. What I should get a what's his damn name? Oh my God, Mitch and Nathan. I should get Nathan at Seaburn to make a little guide book thing for the episode, a little graphic there. Where I'll use another drawing he made of me, and it'll be great. It'll be a little guide, and then you can listen to it and tell your friends, and then everyone will know about silencers, and it'll be great. Okay, yeah, you are again now. To be clear, you are in charge of your own destiny here, so please participate. If you don't participate and you don't like what we put in the episode, well, in this case, your vote does matter. So please contribute now. I think that's a good idea. I think this is a good, fair way to do it. We're opening it to everyone in the world that listens to the podcast. They can certainly shoot us an email, okay? So yeah, guys, that's all I have for you today. I know this is really fast, but hey, efficient. That's good. Again, just want to let you know that testing and analysis is ongoing as always. We're super crazy busy. I hope that this quick data drop satiates you for the time being. I know it can be hard going a long time without data, so here you are. No, I am glad. No, but in all seriousness, not just to pacify you at all. I wouldn't. I don't mean that seriously. I do mean that we are very glad to get this research out to you. We do take it seriously. We do think this is an important silencer for the pedigree. We do think it's an important silencer for silencer history. I don't think anyone can disagree that the amount of SilencerCo Omega 9Ks out in user hands is significant, and I don't think anyone disagrees about the large degree of data utility here presented today. Okay, so please go check out the article. Please let me know any feedback. We will be back again next week to talk a little more technically about the article. Okay, so please stay safe out there, friends. I will talk with you folks again soon. Okay, bye.